All right, episode 5 of The Acolyte. All right, not gonna keep you waiting too long. 2 traditions, because without them, who are we? So I'm gonna talk about episode 5 of The Acolyte. If you haven't seen it by now, that's a spoiler warning. And yes, this is the episode with the big Sith identity reveal, which is about as surprising as
I'm Kylo Ren. You're Kylo Ren.
So this episode's a lot of lightsaber fights. Also, props to them for using that soundstage for a second episode. You don't want to build a soundstage just for one episode. You want to reuse it. Get your money's worth. Get your $180 million worth. And there was some high praise before the show came out. It was like, look, the lightsaber fights in Acolyte, like Phantom Menace. Kind of, if they were all fighting in the dark at night and sometimes obstructed by trees. There were some moments I was like, oh, that actually was cool. Other moments I was like, that was probably cool if I could see it better. Kind of shit just annoys me. I'm sick and tired of lightsaber fights at night. It's not cool, it's not stylistic, just make sure the audience doesn't get to see everything that's going on. When the fan film Art of the Saber crushes your $180 million show's lightsaber fight, there's a problem. Difference is, I can kind of guesstimate where the budget of that fan film went. You remember Art of the Saber? Classic. Well, I guess problem's not the right word, but it does show that passion is something that money just doesn't buy. Not for 180 million, not for 4 billion. For a lightsaber battle, be in an open space, frame up your actors, show some unobstructed fighting. That's all we want. Like, as there are a couple of moments in the fight in this episode, I was like, oh, hey, I think I saw something cool there. I can't tell you what the fight actually looked like. I can't tell you the moves in the fight. Whereas if we're looking at the prequel fights, I can tell you exactly what they looked like. And dude's helmet and I guess armor is made out of that metal from Legends, in which when a lightsaber hits it, it sends a current up the blade and it shorts it out. I always thought that was a cool metal. I hear that it's been brought into canon, you know, with the books or comic books, but I give props where props are due. I liked that. One, is a cool mechanic I haven't seen in live action yet that's been in Star Wars stories before, but also gives a reason for him having a helmet at all. It's not just like, oh, bad guy wears a helmet because helmets, am I right? They're cool. Yeah, and if a Jedi tries to smack him in the head, it just shorts out his weapon and it'll kill him. Doesn't explain why his mouth looks like a zipper. But still, I didn't know that. Does that metal, is this supposed to block the Force too? Because I knew it shorted out lightsabers. Because Saul was like, take off your helmet. And he was like, so you can read my thoughts? No, no, no. So the helmet's Magneto's helmet? It blocks out psychic waves? And yeah, the Jedi start dying in this episode, which in the last video I did, I was like, everyone's gonna have to die, right? The dude who constantly uses his lightsaber as a flashlight. What's his name? Yord. Poor Yord. Got his neck snapped. No Jedi wants to go out like that. You know, in the academy, when they're in their bunks praying to the Force at night, they're all like, dear Force, thank you for everything. Thank you for the day. Thank you for Diet Pepsi. And if I'm gonna die tomorrow, can you not make it from a neck snapping? That's just, I can't. I just don't want to go out like that. My Force Ghost will never hear the end of it from the other Force Ghosts. An ability we haven't mastered yet in this era of Star Wars, but I digress. Can we just let it be from a lightsaber? So at least then I might be able to live through it, I guess. He goes out, Daphne King goes out. I liked that hit. That was a solid hit because dude's been unmasked at this point, but she's blocking his face and you see her back and you see the lightsabers go, doo, doo, doo. I was like, I'm pretty sure she's dead. I like that Darth Nameless here knows he's dealing with Disney Lucasfilm. He's like, gotta stab 3 times. 1, just ain't gonna do it these days. And now the mask is off. The reveal, the most shocking reveal in Star Wars history. Audiences have not been this shocked since that scene in Titanic. You know, the one when the ship hits the iceberg, then sinks? Yeah, the secret identity of the masked guy. Ismay's friend, of course. If your argument for it not being him was, it's so obvious it can't be him, that's fair. It's also apparently wrong, but it's fair. Which props to them for hiding the fact that he's actually cut. I was like, oh, that guy's 85 pounds soaking wet. Nope, he does not skip arm day. And here is the thing. The way the Sith thing is revealed, it just feels like nothing. It feels inconsequential. Because Saul's like, who are you? He says something like, I have no name, but I guess you'd call me Sith. Feels like he pulled the name Sith out of his ass. I want Saul to be like, are you actually a Sith? Are you just making that shit up? Are you another guy taking on the name Sith? Are you actually from the line of Sith? I mean, he doesn't have a name. He's not Darth something. He's just kind of no name. Is he like the Sith equivalent of those stolen valor fucks who pose as military personnel and veterans? Try to get free pancakes on Veterans Day or some shit? I hate his response when Saul was like, why risk exposure? That's a valid question. His answer is, well, I wore a mask. I want him to be like, it's not what I meant. I meant, why risk exposure. You know, the kind of exposure a mask doesn't cover? The kind of exposure that red lightsaber, dark side force user, grouping up in pairs of 2, and now we should know what you are, that we apparently didn't. Like that kind of exposure. Plus, this dude doesn't seem like a Sith master. He feels more like an apprentice. This dude comes across as a Sith apprentice who wants to be a Sith master. Always 2 there are. May didn't seem like she was a full-on apprentice. Didn't look like she passed whatever Sithish tests he was throwing at her. So it was really a Sith master and someone in training, or there's another Sith master out there. Dude still gets defeated in this episode because May was like, hey, we can get all these man-eating roly-poly potato bugs to beat his ass. What? You never seen Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania? That shit works. So at the end, Osha and May fight, and May pushes Osha and knocks her ass out pretty cold, because May takes Osha's clothes, dresses up as Osha, and cuts her hair with a lightsaber, is posing as Osha, and is now hanging out with Saul. And Saul's like, let's get back on the ship. Then Darth Nameless finds Osha and is like, I don't know, maybe you can be my apprentice. What do you say? The Sith reveal should have meant more. When the reveal was, I am Sith, Saul should have been like, that's impossible. They've been extinct for a millennium. How are you here? How has this happened? How did this... What? And while for the characters in the show, they don't know how big a deal that is, because there's no way for them to know that, hey, this is going to lead to our extinction. I should at least feel the clock start, where it's like, someone has to get this information to the Jedi Council, and this guy doesn't know how important it is, and now he's in a ship with May, and she might kill him. Saul's like, all right, Osha, on the ship, sure. I don't know, I just don't care. I so don't care. I'm not even noticing the fact that you don't really feel like Osha. Feels like you're May. And you slightly smell like burnt hair. Something's off. The show's going Sith reveal, but what did happen that fateful night 16 years ago? Or yeah, what happened 16 years ago? Did the Jedi kill people? Was there a cover-up? The 2 sisters remember that night very differently. One of them must have had their memories altered. Which one was it? Is this the best episode of The Acolyte so far? Yeah, probably. High bar, right? What does that mean? Exactly. Nonetheless, I'd say it is. However, if Saul's first order of business when getting back on that ship isn't to call the Jedi Council right now and be like, hey, remember that old religion of our nemesis, the Sith? I guess it's still around. If he doesn't do that, that's a complete failure on his part. We're essentially watching a dead man walking, because we know he won't get that message to the Jedi. He's either gonna die or pick up the mantle of Sith Lord himself. All right, so The Acolyte, episode 5. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? And what do you think is gonna happen? Whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.